got to find what your reason is for doing what it is, and it sounds cheesy, cliche, whatever else, but I definitely found the value of, I think I could help and train people better and give them as much knowledge as I can, because I pat myself on the back, feel like I can sell anything to anyone at any point in time while still doing the right things in sales. I quickly found out that there's, when you're creating a business in insurance, that there are levels of hierarchies and overrides where you can still make the person right next to you, if you want to say underneath you, whatever, you're training them, make them a ton of money and make a little bit of money off the top. Well, clearly, if you just do the math and numbers, take that from 1 person to 5 people to 20 people to 100 people, so on and so forth, that was really my calling. So, my first year in sales as a 1099 sales agent, I really only did that for 9 months.
What's going on, guys? It's Brad Hannon.
And Sean Noonan, and welcome to the Insurance Sucks podcast,
where we'll talk about everything but insurance. And today we're going to talk some insurance because I decided that outside of insurance, there's not a whole lot to talk about for me. I love insurance. I'm a weirdo, but we understand that not everybody loves insurance and insurance sucks. We got Tyler McClosky today, who made a living in insurance. So we want to hear how he made that living. We want to talk to him about what he's doing outside of insurance, just all of those things, all the things he does for fun and how he's become successful at such a young age. But Tyler's been my friend for a long time. I'm excited to have him on the show. And, if you know this guy, if you met this guy, he means business, but it probably wasn't always that way, right? And so I'll let him kind of tell his story and we'll get into that. But welcome to the show, Tyler.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Welcome.
How you doing today?
Doing
good,
great.
Man. Good. Having a good time.
It's definitely my first time being a guest on a show versus hosting my own. So.
For sure. You're used to being on the other side of the mic.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like it. Grill me away all day.
The good thing is we're not live on the radio, right? Or this isn't going out to millions of people, just a few thousand.
You're allowed to curse.
All right, cut, edit,
and you can cut, and you can cuss. We're going to do it one take only. You know the drill.
Sure. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
So take us through, first, for those that might not know you, little introduction. Who's Tyler? Where do you come from?
And you guys tell me how to do this. You want me talking right to the camera, to the folks at home, to you guys? I'll go right at it.
Whatever, man. Just a little round table discussion.
That's right.
So, I've been in the insurance business my whole life, basically. So, my mother was a Medicare agent since I've been 10 years old. So, I've kind of been around it, known the business a little bit. Right out of high school, got into mortgages because that's a company that my father owned at the time. And the very first year was the mortgage crash, so that didn't work out too well.
Good time.
Found my way through, though, at 22, got my insurance license, and kind of never looked back ever since then. So I've been doing it for 12 years now.
Wow.
Very cool.
Yeah. Not many people that are, 33 then, I guess, yeah. 34. Not many people that are 34 can say they've been doing it for 12 years.
Yeah.
No. Do you feel like you had an advantage because you grew up around insurance?
No, I feel like I had an advantage because I grew up around sales.
Yes.
So anything for sales for me was going to be the easy route no matter what. For me, I always looked at it in 3 avenues, 3 fields are the best thing to do in life is for anybody, basically. Real estate, mortgages, or insurance.
No, I thought you were going to say doctor, lawyer.
No. Sales, real estate, mortgage, or insurance. I think you can write your path. And at the end of the day, I tried the mortgage and real estate route of it first, but everything led back to insurance to get to residual income. So
Isn't it funny? Sometimes I feel like people in insurance can't get out of insurance no matter what. Like I try to start this podcast, talk about things that are outside of insurance. We realized quickly we ran out of things fast, right?
You did.
I love this. But, clarify this for me real quick because you said you grew up around insurance and some people might take that as like, did your family have an agency? Did you get a leg up in that regard because you grew up around insurance? Or, when you say grew up around insurance, your mom was an agent.
Yeah, not at all. So same like you just said, this is back in, the 90s, late 90s. She was just an agent writing some Medicare policies. That's that. Again, I just grew up around my parents being in sales altogether, and it mostly was around the mortgage industry. When the mortgage industry crashed, my mom went back and got her license. So saw her doing that for a year. She kind of came into an agency that was doing something they were only open for year and a half at the time, straight 1099 agents, just kind of selling over the phone, a new model where you didn't have to go knocking on doors, everything else like that.
Late 90s?
This is in the early 2000s.
Early 2000s.
After the crash,
way ahead of their time.
Yep. So Once I saw her doing that, she went from the ground floor, still being an agent. That's all she ever did. But then I got into it doing the same thing. And my first year in the business, couldn't be more proud. I made $17,000 first year in the business. So people look at things now, but they don't realize.
22, though, at 22, I don't know that I was making more than $17,000 anyway. So
I didn't have a job.
It's amazing
so
what you can survive on.
Yeah.
Amazing what you can survive on in those days.
But I also think it's cool that, if we look at it from now where a lot of people's standards are, like your first year in the business, like we always talk about, Brad, I think was an exception to the rule, made 6 figures his first year.
I'm just a legend,
right? It's hard to be at the top.
It wasn't. Yeah. It was. I was not 22. If I was 22, I would have made probably 18 grand because I'd have done a little bit better. I did a little bit better than Tyler, but not certainly not anything. My head was so far up my ass at 22 years old, it was crazy.
Definitely. So. But the fact I think that's cool that you all, and I shouldn't say only, but like you made $17,000, which is not a livable amount, in my opinion. I think most of us can agree on that.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, I only use that fact. Now, again, that wasn't the entire year. Yeah. That definitely wasn't working every day. It was, make a check for $3,000-$4,000, don't work for 2 or 3 weeks, then realize what a chargeback is, have to come back and make up for that, and so on and so forth. So I use that as a standard point with my team and my agents that I brought in. Nowadays, a brand new agent should be, worst case scenario, they're making 60, 70,000 their first year, like as a worst case scenario. But just going back then, like I said, it was just something where you got into it first year, didn't have much leadership direction in a company and a standard, and that's kind of really what I wanted to create. Yeah.
And you answered what my question was going to be, like, what did that year look like to make 17,000? And it sounds like it was work really hard for a couple hours, get a big sale, take a couple weeks off. Oh shit, I don't have any money. I should go back to work, manage to find, and you just kind of rinsed and repeated versus sticking with it. But I think you're at where you are now today because we've talked about it before. Every successful person in anything has one trait that is, across the board they all had, which was they never quit. Mm-hmm. And like you made 17,000 your first year, you didn't quit. You realized that, hey, I can continue to make money in this. Maybe if I work a little harder, maybe if I work a little smarter, maybe if I'm more consistent, I can turn this into something. And
absolutely.
I think that's the biggest thing because we live in a day of instant gratification, and people think if you don't make 6 figures that first year that this industry is a joke, that it's not real, that it's fake. And it's definitely not the case.
Definitely not. Well, to back up, because we just got right into it, right? Who's Tyler? So now that we know who Tyler is, right? You had mentioned some. You said, what do you want me to do? You want me to look at the camera? Do you want me to talk to us? This is actually the first time. So you're the first ever. Okay, so congratulations. You're the first ever to be the guest on the podcast in studio. So what do you think about this studio? This is something.
Can I correct you for a second?
Is this pretty incredible state-of-the-art studio or what?
Yeah, I like it. I want to see where you were going to go with that, though.
Second in studio guest.
Second in studio
guest. You can't
Who
forget about Mr. Benjamin himself, Ben Smith.
Oh, that didn't count. That was a test episode. That was a test. Sorry, Ben. You don't win that. No, Ben was
the forgotten agent.
Ben was a guest co-host, though. This is just purely a guest, right?
But you can see how we said it. We did a little kind of get creative to get in here to see what side we're going to do. We got multiple cameras set up, everything else like that. So,
but I wanted to walk you through kind of what the process typically is, what our format typically is, right? And so we want to get to know you a little bit, talk about what you've done and your insurance or business related experience. Not everybody we have on here is insurance, but if it was real estate, whatever. We want to get into what's made you successful, right? And then let's talk about kind of the things you do outside of that. Okay, or we all do outside of that, and then lastly, we'll probably find a common ground to tee off on and close it out. So to kind of transition from who Tyler is to who I know of Tyler, right? Bring us to not necessarily to right now, but to current, because you started out making 17 grand a year, but when I met you, you were making quite a few dollars more than that, maybe even a couple of commas more than that, right?
Yeah.
And so how does one let's fill in the gap between when I met you and man, you're killing it and we're doing a lot of the same type of stuff, but you're doing it at a really high level to 22 years old making 17,000. What's the stuff in between?
Yeah, for me, kind of my biggest thing is you got to find what your reason is for doing what it is, and it sounds cheesy, cliche, whatever else, but I definitely found the value of, I think I could help and train people better and give them as much knowledge as I can, because I you know, pat myself on the back, feel like I can sell anything to anyone at any point in time while still doing the right things in sales.
Sell me this pen.
So I quickly found out that there's, you know, when you're creating a business in insurance, that there are levels of hierarchies and overrides where you can still make the person right next to you, if you want to say underneath you, whatever, you're training them, make them a ton of money and make a little bit of money off the top. Well, clearly, if you just do the math and numbers, take that from 1 person to 5 people to 20 people to 100 people, so on and so forth, that was really my calling. So, you know, my first year in sales as a 1099 sales agent, I really only did that for 9 months. You know, kind of small, funny story. I tell it now because, you know, I'm not ashamed of it at all. I actually, when I did that my first 9 months, I got approached to go work in a call center. So I think Brad knows this.
I know the call center too.
Yeah, I actually went and worked.
You worked alongside of some legends.
Yeah, at 22 years old, I actually, a buddy of mine, my father's was running TZ Insurance, Transact Insurance, and he said, come on over here, you make $17 an hour plus bonuses, this, that, the other. And I said, absolutely not. I will never do that. I said, I'll never be an hourly employee again. It was the best decision that I ever did.
Yeah.
I did it with a purpose and a reason that, you know, all with integrity and everything else like that, knowing I'm only going to do this for a short amount of period of time. I'm not going to do this forever.
Yep.
You're going to learn.
It was the best thing for me. I learned every single thing about the Medicare business, working, you know, the bad hours, 12 till 9:30 at night, weekends, holidays, Saturdays, Sundays, everything else, grinding it out for 4 to 5 months and doing every single thing possible. So I learned all that side of the business. And then straight from there, kind of went back to my original agency, partnered up with my partner at the time and said, I think I can run this. I just don't have the money to run it. So let's put up the money. Let's hire some people. And at the end of the day too, there's nothing wrong with doing that or coming in as an hourly employee.
For sure.
Some people need a certain level of security, and if we can provide that to them, like giving them the good lifestyle, that's what I wanted to do. Pros and cons, up and downs to every single thing, but basically right at 23 years old in 2012, that's when we started our first call center with 5 people.
It's crazy.
And fast forward to years later, I mean, we can go through the whole process, but within 3 to 4 years, we were at 225 employees at our highest point. Incredible. All under one agency, 6 offices, work from home agents as well too, all in the W-2 model.
It's huge.
Yeah.
I want to dig into that a second, but I got to say, just to back up, you were at Transact, you were at TZ doing Medicare.
Yeah.
You know, Medicare Bob, obviously everybody knows who he is. He's done some big things, and you know, there was a couple others I think that were with you at the same time. But even Bob says, man, he looks back at now, and he looks back at that 5 years or so that he spent there, and he was making, you know, 100, 150 grand a year. He goes, man, that was some of the best times of my life. I could go out and, you know, have fun, we'll just say, and, you know, be feeling like, you know, 50%, 60% in the morning, but you know, you're going in, you're putting your headset on, and you're just going to work. You know, like you have no real, you know, major stress, right? You got a base coming in, you're doing your job, whatever, but you're also learning. So while a lot of people are paying, you know, $150,000 over a 4-year, you know, degree, you're getting paid $150,000 while you're learning. And I think that, you know, Bob's degree, your degree, earned you guys a lot of money. And so it's worth it, right? Like to take that step.
And with that too, you know, there's a lot of agents out there that are career agents, and there is, again, there's not a problem in the world with that. You know, I think people get so much in this, you know, I think you've seen this too. So anybody that's listening now that, you know, just because you're a top sales agent doesn't mean you need to own your own business.
100%.
And there's so much value in being a career agent if you find your path. Now, are you going to make $1 million a year?
You could.
You could, but possibly not. The path is going to be a lot harder than if you can build a business with a downline and help other people get hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. But you can have career agents, and that's kind of what I set up and created for a lot of people too. And they worked phones for 20 years. They made a hell of a living, and you know, it's a great path for them.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. We've had people in and out of here, and people that we know really well, that some people are and I use the term clock puncher, but like someone that wants to come in from work 9 to 5 and work their tail off from 9 to 5, but when 5 o'clock gets there, they're done. Like, they don't want anything to do with it. They don't want to deal with any of the extra stuff. Like, they're off the clock. They'll come in. They'll come back in the next day at 9 o'clock versus somebody that is more of an entrepreneur who wants to work for themselves, that wants the full benefit of all the work that they do. And, like, yeah, they work 9 to 5, but they're also answering emails at 7, 8 o'clock at night. They're dealing with other stuff. And some people just aren't made out for that. They can be a great 9 to 5 worker, but when they have all the responsibility of everything else, it all of a sudden they become a below average 9 to 5 worker because
or it
all
just
the
takes
other
the
stuff.
fun out of it for
Yeah,
them.
it stresses them out. They don't enjoy it.
Now it's not enjoyable. What could be enjoyable isn't enjoyable. So
Exactly.
So true.
But
But
I work way more now than I used to when I was a 9 to 5 worker, because not because I want to work more. It's just like I enjoy it. Like the extra stuff that comes with it. I'm like, I will do this all day, every day, versus going back to that 9 to 5 job.
Well,
and
you said
for someone else.
Good old
now
bank
it's not
hours.
work,
It's not work,
right?
yeah.
That's the thing. It's just lifestyle.
Exactly.
it becomes
exactly.
becomes just part of your lifestyle.
Yep.
The misconception of being a business owner or even 1099 and being a sales agent, 1099 is still kind of running your own business.
Yeah.
The misconception of starting your own business to create more freedom in your life isn't always the case, especially when you're building, right? But I want to get into you would because I don't know that I've heard all of this, and you don't have to go into great detail, but you had said you were working at TZ, and then you linked up with your partner, and you started that call center with 5 people. At what point were you one of the just 5 agents that started out and then you produced your way up, or were you from day one or day inception, close to inception, running that small team and carrying some of the, I won't say all of the load, but some of the load of building the sales organization?
Yeah, I mean, just flat
arm.
out, basically, I created that such as I was owning that company, that team, that downline, that direction. So for me, it was simply just hire 5 people, go at it with that team and get them to be as profitable as possible.
Yeah.
I always now more firmly believe now the best thing for anybody that's doing this is to sell along with your team at the start. Now there's going to be a running pace where you can't anymore, which is good because you're giving your deals and your leads off to your team.
Right.
But the way I kind of started off was just kind of from the top down right there, side by side. Now I didn't have an office. I had a desk right next to him. I fully believe in that aspect as well
For
too.
sure.
But yeah, my thing is I ran that through basically at a year because I didn't need to make a whole lot of money right away.
Yeah.
My second year, my first year managing an entire team, second year in the business, had a great profitable team, writing a bunch of Medicare policies. I think I made $41,000. So, you can go through the math and the progressions there. But you can say second year in the business, I still wasn't doing what I was 23 years old, making $40,000 a year. People might have thought I made a lot more. I was just kind of smart with my money.
Yeah.
But I knew and saw the longevity of the end game. And from that point, without getting indirect, it literally was a doubling game where you can double your income every single year. And it went right up to my third year. It was almost like the end of my third year is when I finally made my first 6 figures in the business. And I was able to kind of double up from there for many years.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
We hit on you hit on the people that are career agents, and that's that's what they want to do, and that's their goal, and what have you. And I immediately thought of there's a lot of individuals out there working for large corporations that have a nice cushy salary of, let's just call it $250,000, right? That are millionaires. They're not millionaires from that $250,000 salary, right? They're millionaires because they made good choices with their money, right? They're on a $250,000 salary. Mm-hmm. They made the right investments. They made the right choices. And when I think of insurance agents that also have done a good job of that, you're kind of at the top of that list. You're one of the top people that I know that did smart things with the money when you were making it. And so all of that said, it's a good transition, good segue into what are some of the things you did when you were your income was doubling, mm-hmm. right? You weren't spending twice as much. So what are some of the things you did to kind of set yourself up financially, to be in the position you're in today?
You want me to give you the honest answer?
I want you to give I want to give full blown training and
I will be totally honest with you. I didn't do a lot except for reinvest back into my business.
Yeah.
I did not diversify. It probably, you would have seen me, instead of having one of my vehicles
safe
out there, I probably would have had 10 more if I did do
Right.
that much extra. The reason why is because I did make a ton of money at doing what I did, was my insurance career, and I reinvested back into that. Now for me as well, I mean, my biggest thing is when you have the ability to finally make hundreds of thousands of dollars and up to 7 figures, I lived well below my means.
Yeah.
I would literally take, and I was fortunate enough to at that time take 10 to 15% of my money that I was making, live off of that, and then save 80% of it. Now, don't get me wrong. I invested some stuff. I have some stuff in stocks. I did some couple real estate deals. That would be my biggest suggestion. And now we can talk about after we sold our company where we're at. But, doing a lot of those different things is always good, and it's the most safe way to doing it. But for me, honestly, it was living below my means. I didn't go out and buy the cars that I have right now until I had all that money to pay for it 3 times over in the bank. And when I was able to, then I bought it. A lot of people talk, when you see things on TikTok and videos, and they talk about cash is trash and don't save up all your money and your money in the bank is worthless and inflation and everything else like that. I mean, I'm not at making $100 million in the bank, but I can tell you cash is king.
Right.
In my opinion, still, cash is king. And when you actually have the ability to have your money in your account to then go on the offense for things, it made a huge difference for me.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to where I got.
And when you see the stock market drop 50% and your savings account still earning
This week,
0.01,
no less.
you're like, oh, cash ain't so bad.
It's crazy. And I get it. I mean, trust me, don't get me wrong. At this point in time, now that I have, you have a lot of disposable funds that you can do things with. Yes, put it in real estate, get passive income, put investments into companies, so on and so forth. But at the beginning stages of that, I mean, again, I could have went a lot quicker probably, but I've invested all back into my business, hiring more agents, buying more leads.
That is
everything else.
essentially, so we're saying 2 things here, right? On one hand, we're saying, cash is king, save your money, live below your means. But what you're not saying is, save all of your money and don't reinvest in your business. Cash is not king sitting in your bank. It's better in your business, right? Like save a nest egg, right? Put some money away, but at a certain point, let's get into how you invest in your business, and let's talk about, because I wouldn't want somebody to get confused or feel like we're saying, live off of 20% of your income, and run your business off of 20% of you're separating 20% of your income. It covers your personal expenses, your house, your car, your food, your meals, your, travel and entertainment that's non-business related. But then you've got 80% left over. Some of that money goes back into the business.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, when you look at that too, look at that as that's money that's going right into the business off the top. So
Correct.
I'm talking about at the end of the day, after you're done making what you make out of your business, do the best you can to live off a low amount of that, so you can just kind of stack and double up in the bank. Right. But as far as in the insurance business, I mean, nothing's more necessary than your leads, your marketing, and your team. So whether that be hiring, recruiting the right people, bringing them in, giving them, investing into them so that they can get off on the right track.
Yeah.
And again, what does it all come back to? At the end of the day, you can call it leads, you can call it anything else. It's marketing.
Yep.
It's the right marketing for the right things. I have also seen a lot of people go in the hole by just, once they got a lot of money, throwing against a wall, seeing if anything sticks, and then blowing through it.
I've done my fair share of that too.
And it's fine to do that.
Sometimes it works. Most times it doesn't.
For a little bit of money, but I'm talking when you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars going back into the business, you've got to be smart about it.
For sure.
Definitely.
But investing in people. And what does that mean, investing in people? Again, I hate all the cliche stuff about that. Investing in people, hiring the right staff. Once you're now we're going way down into this. We're going into building and creating and maintaining a business. You have to hire the right operations team. And you can't skimp out and tell them you're going to pay them, 40, 50 grand a year. If the business is bringing in this much, you might have to pay a little bit more to get the better person in there. You might have to give a piece of equity or the profits coming in. That's all investing back into the business.
100%. I just realized something. This is where my brain went. Oh, by the way, who likes the clean-shaven face? If this clean-shaven face is really doing it for you, or you think I look like I have a shaved, whatever, it looks crazy, just drop a comment. Let me know what you think about the shaved face. But this is where my brain just went to, because I'm thinking this next section should be interesting, right? We'll find some common ground, some fun things to talk about. And I was like, well, we all love baseball. And I was like, fuck.
That's right.
Never mind.
I knew this was
Let's
coming up.
stay away from that topic because we got 2 Yankee fans here.
We're on a roll.
And and you guys are on a heater. And so baseball is cool. That's how
Baseball is cool.
we love baseball.
Baseball's only cool though when the Yankees are winning.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better for the sport.
That was a quick transition,
Absolutely.
right?
I
Because
loved
that was
it.
where my brain went. But that's what I'm here for, right? Is to come up with all the cool ideas off of this crazy, mind here. But are you going to the game this weekend?
Saturday night.
You guys will,
Look at that.
Look at
4
that.
o'clock game.
you guys will see each other.
All right.
You guys will
Sounds
see
good.
each
I
other.
don't know where we're sitting, but I already paid for the tickets.
Well, he's sitting up front. You're
I'm
sitting
sure.
probably in the back.
Probably. We're going friends,
Maybe
so,
maybe you guys can trade
Remember,
spots.
I think I just told you, I don't spend
Yeah,
a lot
he's
of money.
Yeah.
I put it all back in the bank. I buy the cheap seats
Right.
and just walk around, stand in the room.
We're going to a Rays game. They're all cheap seats.
He buys
at that point.
fake
Yeah.
G wagons. He's got a fake. It's
Awful
actually
wish.
it's a Jeep. It's a Jeep actually out there in my parking lot, but it's got all the G wagon.
Yeah.
I found the
pieces
right
to
parts.
it.
Yeah,
I found the right
exactly.
parts.
It's actually
Exactly.
a Kia Soul. They just doctored it up a little bit.
Yeah, perfect. So
Yeah.
you got the Kia Soul. That's great.
Yep.
Well, let's stay on insurance for just a second long because I want to kind of just preview a little bit of some of the things I've learned from you. I think when I first met you. I was in a kind of a position of trying to learn more about how to actually run an operation, run an insurance agency, right? Like run it like a legitimate agency, and you were doing that at the time. So, like any smart person would do, I reached out, we set up lunch, we got to meet. That was cool. We've had a great relationship ever since. But when I think of the things that I've learned and taken from you, it's really it's running the operations of an agency and thinking outside of just sales, right? I mean, sales drives the organization, but we've got to do certain things in the way we train, in the way we present plans, in the way we build plans, in the way we, structure our leads. And all of these things are what drives those sales. And so real quick, just to kind of finish off the insurance talk, why don't you get into like a little training for the audience, right? For those watching this, we'll cut this up into a little training clip as well. But, let's talk specifically because this is a big problem that I see in the industry. And it's that especially on like the independent agent side, right? We're talking to the agents that are solo producers from home. They've got contracts in some different places, whatever, but they're not running their organization like a business. So let's give some practical advice to the audience of how you can, whether you're an independent broker, whether you're, working with an organization like mine, whatever, you're a solo or you've got a small team. How do you start treating that like a real business and setting it up to, one day maybe make you 7 figures?
If you've been doing it for a while and you're still failing, you're probably never going to succeed. My
Woo.
honest opinion.
Love it.
If you haven't found the way to make it work, you're not working it the way that you should be.
Right.
Now, again, that might be a bold, direct statement, but my job as an agency owner, a manager, a team lead, anything else like that, is to do every single thing in my power to get you just above what you need to make as fast as possible. Now, I say that do just as well because everybody wants to make 6 figures, right? Well, if you come to me and you're making $50,000 and I can make you 70 in your first year, did we do our job together? Yes or no?
For sure.
Yep.
If you come to me and, hey, I make 150, but I want to get out of whatever I'm doing and I want to make 250 or more, that might be hard to hit 150 that very first year, but I can show you how and where. And that's just being realistic.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think it's a lot of people have unrealistic expectations sometimes, or the unrealistic work that has to be done to meet those expectations.
For sure.
So
I want to make 7 figures, but I want to work 24 hours a
yeah,
week.
exactly. Everybody wants to do what I do, but not everybody wants to do what I did.
Right.
And people don't remember seeing, it's fine too, to an extent, that when you're bringing a person in for their first day on the job, but I've been doing this for 9 years and maybe I'm only here for 3 hours today. That doesn't mean I wasn't here for 23 hours
For sure.
in the first year every single day as much as possible. Again, I'm not all into the cliche and the quotes and too much of that, but it just gets down to the facts and being real with yourself.
Right.
So if people have been doing this for a long time and they haven't found the way, they really need to self-evaluate where do they want to go and what they want to do. Now, yes, it can definitely be reaching out to the right people. Working with the right organization is always going to help, but if you're passionate enough, you're going to find the way. From the newer people coming in, like I said, if you're a team lead, find out what your team needs to make and make them just a little bit more as fast as possible.
Yeah.
That can be leads. That can be cold calling. That can be cold door knocking. That can be whatever that situation calls for. If it's they got to make more money, you give them your deals. You put people underneath them to get them to where they got to be. Once they've gotten there, to be honest, it's really up to them to take that next step. Now, you can help them 100% of the way if they're wanting the help, if they're wanting to continue to grow.
That's good.
But you guys go to these conferences, different things, and 8% of the people make all the money in the business. Well, there's a reason why for that. That means 92% of people really aren't able to do or willing to do the work that the top 8% are.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. If you're enjoying your life, you're happy with your life, you take care of your family, then more power to you. You can't.
But if you're falling short of that.
Correct. Now, you can't depend and bank on those people for you to then make the kind of income you want to make.
Correct.
So again, my best advice to that person that is that team lead, whatever that might be, talk to your team and make them what they need to make as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Then set up the goals for the next step and level. If they don't want to reach the next step and level, you got to move on to the next person. Yeah. Continue to recruit, train, hire, and so on and so forth, and grow your business. Yeah. But show them the way.
Yeah. How much rope do you get people starting out as far as,
Rope?
Rope to hang
leash,
themselves. I go with rope to hang themselves.
So explain
as far
in
as
what regards?
Somebody, so you say, okay, you need to get somebody over what they need to survive on. And you say, whether it's leads, this or that, they need to be showing the exact amount of effort that you're asking of them in order to get there. It's not just like you're just going to hand them $50,000 worth of leads that come in, but say somebody.
Actually, I'll stop you there. You could, if you are running an organization where you have an abundance amount of traffic that you are generating, and almost you're treating that like a call center atmosphere. Yeah. So if they're doing the job where you're giving them the leads, you're watching over them, and they are closing the deals, and you've got enough of that. That's a way of building your business. Sure. Now, are you going to take those leads away from them at some point in time so that they are self-sufficient on their own, or they grow people underneath them? Again, every single thing in life is a pyramid, right? Yeah. So everything's a pyramid. Sure. Walmart's a pyramid, Target, real estate, Amazon. The government. Definitely insurance, okay? Right. Yep. Doesn't mean it's a pyramid scheme. There's a pyramid. And the reason why it's a pyramid is there's X amount of commission that a carrier is able to give out. The right organization is going to set up the levels to be able to give from a base agent to maybe a senior agent to a supervisor to a manager to senior managers to give those levels of growth, okay? But back to your point as far as how much rope does someone get.
Yeah, if they're not putting in the effort.
Yeah, and then, I mean, again, I hate to say it just comes down to common sense. Yeah. And again, how is your business working? I see some people that go through, I'm bringing in new agent training every single month with 25, 30 people. And how successful are you going to be? Again, are you working for a company where you're creating your own leads, or are you going to work for, a quoting company that just gets leads nonstop? Yeah. If you're working with your one friend a month and bringing in one person a month, you're going to put all your effort into that person as long as they're giving it back. Yeah. One of my good friends in this business has built the phenomenal team based on bringing in one person a month
at a time,
okay, right? And doing that over a 3 to 5 year period. This person's making millions of dollars a year. His team is making upwards close to $1 million a year on the highest producing people. I think they get to their lowest producing persons bringing in 150 grand a year. Wow! And that comes off of bringing in one person a month, starting with a team of 3 to 5 people, and over a 3-4 year period, they're only at 40 people. I know managers, team leads in this business that have 250 people, and they're barely, when I say barely, just making close to that, high hundreds of thousands or close to $1 million mark. Phenomenal way of doing it as well, but it doesn't have to be just on the volume of agents.
Yeah, true, 100%. I think the common theme for what we've been talking about so far, even when you're talking before about career agents and people, and then now to this, where career agents being potentially a great option for somebody that, that's what they want. And then now to how do we coach agents up on, running an actual business? And the common thread that's tying that all together is having enough self-awareness to know, hey, are you the type of person that, you're going to be creating the systems and developing the systems and running the plays and, building the infrastructure, or do you really need to plug in somewhere that does have that, right? I think that I talk about this all the time, and I talked about this at a recent conference. It was just that SWAT. If you weren't there, next year you got to go, man. I should push you harder. I'm going to push you harder next year. Every year that I go to that event, I leave there thinking, man, I should have brought more people. Should have brought EDub. It was, it was really good. But I talk about this all the time about, sometimes, man, somebody going from, and I'll just throw an arbitrary number out there, 20% comp, to 15% comp plugged into the right systems, processes, training, development, mentorship, leads too, right? We'll throw that in there as well. Can double their income, right? They can take a 5% pay cut and they can double their income because they're freaking plugged in the right system, right? Like they're not having to worry about setting up their day, or maybe they're just not good at setting up their day, but it starts with enough self-awareness to say, hey, that ain't me. I know the things I'm good at. I know the things that I'm not good at. This may be not for me, right? Working from home with my dog, whom I love so much, and we like to go play Frisbee all the time. And, man, I got a cooler full of beer and, the race is on or whatever. I'm describing like a total redneck right now. Like we got a beers, the NASCAR race is on. I got my dog, screw selling insurance, but yeah. But the reality is like I think there's a lot of people. So when we look at the number of agents that fail, I think it boils down to self-awareness, right? Some people not having enough self-awareness to say, man, maybe I should take a little trim on my commission and go to this organization that's going to help me win.
Well, again, like you said, self-awareness and common sense.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what matters the most? What's coming into you in your bank account, period.
Yeah.
So no matter how much you spend on your business, no matter how much your commissions are, I don't care if you gave me 1% commission and I'm making $1 million, you can give me 50% commission and I'm making nothing. Yep. So at the end of the day, it's just about what money is coming into you to take care of your family. So you got to find the right path. And again, I think at the end of the day, it's, like you said, self-awareness and common sense.
Yeah,
100%.
What makes people happy? Because there's people out there making $250,000+ a year that, are living paycheck to paycheck because they can't, manage their spending. And then you got someone else who's making $60,000 a year who's never made that much money before in their life, and they're living of a surplus and they're happy. And I think it comes down to, you got to know your agents, you got to know your team, because I mean, I'll take that happy person making $60,000 all year over the stressed out person making $250,000. Granted, you make more money off that, but you get more headaches as well too. So,
well, you may or may not, like you said, just knowing your audience does. So you kind of hit it the first part there, and like depending on who we're talking to in certain videos and who we're targeting, are you going after people that are in the 8% that know what it takes to be millionaires? There's a very hard way of doing it by doing it all in your own writing pen. And there's a very easier way of doing it
tell me the easy way.
By creating a business and a team of agents that are able to do that. But you can't be too greedy.
Yeah.
The people that fail the most are the ones that are trying to be too greedy on it and taking so much off the top. But you got to know your audience. Yeah. So if we're talking to people in that type of group, we should tell them the right ways of being a millionaire, making $1 million a year, by helping other people reaching their goals. Yeah. If you need to make $100,000 a year, well, it's the hard work, it's the hustle, and there's no other place that you can do that better than doing it in insurance.
100%.
So that's your audience. You got to figure out the path.
Very true.
It's the whole reason why I got into insurance in the first place, right? I was never excited about writing business. Somebody told me, I got good at it, but somebody told me when I first came in that if I did well enough, I could build a team, and that was always exciting to me, right? Building a team, leadership, that stuff was what really drove me to even get into the industry, and I think that is definitely where I still get my most enjoyment, fulfillment, or whatever. So
I still stand by the fact that if Brad can do this, I can do this. So
yeah, that's why Sean got into the business.
That's why I got into it. Yeah.
He said, "You need to recruit me. You need to recruit. You need
I said, sell me on why I should sell insurance.
Sell me on why I should sell insurance." And I'm like, man, it would be way easier to sell you on why you shouldn't. But come into the office, I showed him commissions. I said, here's what you can make. Here's you sell a policy. Blah blah blah. This is what you can make. And he's like, all right, where do I sign up? It's like, all right, that's easy enough. You just got to go through the numbers, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm agreeing. What can I say?
So, all right, the part of the show that I struggle with, right,
Yeah.
with talking about things that aren't related to insurance, right? Which, you know, when you and I get in a room, all three of us really, we get in a room. It's hard to find things outside of insurance to talk about. But I can tell you one thing for sure: the Yankees are on a heater. We can, you know, we can give some playoff predictions or some, you know, not even just predict. What are your early season predictions?
For what, baseball?
Mid-season predictions, yeah.
Yankees are going to win the World Series, and they don't even talk to me about that.
Yeah, we
It's
have
up
the
to
best
them,
offense,
right?
best pitching staff, best fans, everything.
Yeah.
We're the best,
So, there you
always.
go.
Yeah.
All right, so
if you're going to talk baseball, it's going to be short, quick,
The
and
real
over.
question is, how much is Aaron Judge going to get after the season? After he turned down a...
Yeah, I think he made the wrong decision up front. He's getting a little too old
But
for
you know
that
what?
size of contract for that length.
I agree with you, but also I love that he bet on himself.
Yeah.
I love it. And you know what? He's having a MVP caliber season. I think he's an idiot for not taking the baseball. You get guaranteed contracts, $31.5 million a year. Like, that's really hard to walk away from. But like,
But it's still early this year. So
they
we'll see
are
what
still. They
happens.
are actually. They're still leading
Yeah.
the whole.
course they are.
first team to
Please,
get
let's
30
get it up.
wins.
I know.
So-
I try to, you know, when you say we're going a different direction, I laugh for a second because I'm not funny. Like, I try to be
Neither is
funny,
Brad. That's-
but I am
that's-
not, no, I'm not funny. But Nick, my buddy Nick, who comes on my show a lot, he tries to tell me off air. He's like, "You are hilarious. You just don't know it." He's like, "You're one of the funniest guys, but it's in just how you act and perceive yourself, and maybe how I look." But I can't do funny podcast things. I just don't have it in
You're not
me.
a
I don't feel
comedian.
like I'm a funny guy.
You're an insurance guy. You're not a comedian.
I mean, I can only do it when there's something else in this cup and we're really letting loose. And as you can see, I'm all business these days.
All
so
business.
we're gonna tighten
Even
things
shaved the
back
back,
up
too.
and, you know, chill out on the crazy fun podcast. So.
I see.
Well, this has been
I
good
hope
either
it's
way,
fun.
and it's been a fun day having you in the office, hanging out. So
a fun guy.
appreciate you are a fun guy.
Brad looks like a fun guy.
But I always appreciate, you know, and I'll just tell this in closing. I just want to tell the story real quick, and then maybe somebody can take something from this and you know, apply it to your life and actually, you know, build relationships that turn out to be very valuable in the future. So I'm not recommending cold DMing people randomly on Facebook, right?
I think you've done a training on that. On
yeah,
why you shouldn't do that.
You don't want to just like cold DM somebody some BS, right? But when I reached out to Tyler, I don't even know. I mean, I wonder how far back I'd have to scroll to see like the first message. Yeah, it'd be like a long ways. But you know, I first reached out to Tyler. First of all, I didn't even know there was an agency in Florida that was doing similar, like selling similar type of insurance. And I saw this agency, and I saw Tyler, and I saw he's doing big things and whatever. I said, this guy's an hour from me, right? I should know this guy. Like, we should know each other, period, whether we work for different organizations, whatever. And so I reached out really quickly. It wasn't just in passing, like, yo, man, hey, I saw you're in the same business, saw you're doing some big things. Love to see it. You know, I'm doing that as well. I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah. We'll love to see if we can connect and get together and, you know, I don't know, see where it goes.
I think you said, like, FYI, you're super handsome, too.
It sounds about right.
That was kind of the
Well,
punchline.
I will say, dude,
you
you look super tall in your pictures. So I was like, man, this guy,
You got catfished.
really like this guy. Yeah. So you know, we had talked for probably a couple months. You know, this is years ago, but we had talked for a couple months back and forth, just like, yeah, maybe this time, maybe that time, whatever. And finally made it happen. Got lunch, and you know, been homies ever since. So you know, my point in saying all that is find people who have what you have or who are where you want to be or whatever. Reach out, do what it takes to, don't be weird, right? Be normal, but do what it takes to find out what they already know, right? And apply it. And so, you know, again, appreciate the years of friendship, relationship. It all started with a random Facebook message, which was crazy. Now you're here in the office, we're doing some podcasts. So appreciate it. And, you know, as always,
Thanks,
thank
man.
you.
And you came down and you were, I think,
on
the
the
second
radio
or third
show.
guest on my show.
I think first, actually, but
Yeah. Nah, it wasn't. See, I don't want to call you out,
Those were
but I gotta do it out.
practice ones.
But no, I definitely, you know, now I've been doing that show for a year and a half.
yeah,
now. Never
let's
thought I'd
tell
be
the audience, by the way,
on
where
that.
we can find the show, where they can find you.
Yeah. Again, I never in lifetime thought I'd be doing stuff on the radio. So I actually do a show on Fox News Radio every Saturday at 11 a.m.
Is that national? Can you listen to it anywhere in the country?
Well, you can online, so you can go to 925foxnews.com.
925 Fox News. We'll put it in the description.
925foxnews.com. But it's in South Florida, Southwest and South Florida on FM radio. We're talking about getting it all the state of Florida, and then from there trying to get it into other stations as well too. It started off, it was supposed to be just simply an insurance show, but now it's basically just an all-around business show.
What do you call that show?
Oh, the Tyler McClosky Show.
Original.
So original, you know what I mean?
Dang it, man. This name sucks. We're changing this podcast to the Brad Hannon podcast.
Dang, whatever you got to do. But somebody told me along the way to get your name out there.
What do you do? What do you do, Sean? What do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a co-host on the Brad Hannon podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, if you sat here and said I'm a co-host on the Joe Rogan Experience, you'd be pretty high.
That's true.
Right?
I would be a freaking co-host on the Joe Rogan podcast. No problem.
You definitely have something that I
Jamie's the
cut
producer
to.
right now. I hear him all the time. But yeah, so we got the show. We've been doing it about a year and a half now, and then obviously it's on Spotify, Apple iTunes, iHeart. But it's different because it's not like this. It's not like just a podcast. I mean, created into a podcast, but I'm actually doing like, welcome in. It's 11:02 Saturday morning.
Conversation really. It's like,
well, we have
taking
we'll have a
songs
guest. We'll have a
and-
conversation, but I'm literally talking and doing insurance, explaining. Sometimes it's
fun.
boring.
That's super fun.
But
That sounds exciting.
It gets the clients,
Yeah.
and it gets the right
guys,
clients.
you should still listen to it. It is a pretty cool show. You'll learn something too.
So yeah, check it out anytime.
We'll make sure we'll put that in the description below as well. And, we'll see you on the next episode.